There we go.
There we are. I think.
Yep.
All right.
Fantastic.
Sweet. Hello, party people. It's Friday.
October 1.
Yeah, man.
October 1.
It's going to be Christmas before you know it. Like next week. Next week's Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah.
All of the above. What's up, Mike? Personal trainer. Mike, sales, personal trainer.
Mike, are you a
What's up?
salesman of personal trainer?
Yeah. What's up, Mike? Where are you out of? Where you live? Thanks for watching.
Mike. Guess what day it is?
Hump day.
Hey, Mike.
You sound just like that.
What is up, party people? I am one of your hosts. My name is Casey.
I'm Kadimah.
We are so thankful that you are with us today. We are going to be nerding out, which we do quite often. We're both pretty much total nerds, which is good. It's good. We make it happen. We like to read or listen, whatever. Mostly, I think listen, because that's you can multitask. So whether it be like a workout or you're driving, I don't know. What else are you doing while you listen?
Those two things.
Yeah. We listen to a lot of books, but we wanted to, per your request, share a few books that have impacted our lives greatly. And I don't know, that it was kind of hard to choose what
Yeah, I was
to
looking
share.
at the books and I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of books in the last year and a half.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
Didn't even recognize it. That was a lot of books. A
Yeah.
lot.
How many books do you think? Ish.
34?
That's
I was reading down there.
34
Nice.
more than average.
And I've
Nice.
even since this season of, I'm reading 2 right now, and I just finished 2. So I'm reading another 2, and I have another 2 that are ready to go right
Yep.
after that. I used to share on Instagram what books I was reading. I need to get back to that because
For sure.
I did like doing that.
People
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, it's cool. Ashley does that a lot. She's always reading.
She reads like a book a week.
Yeah, she kills it. She kills it on the Oh,
Took my first sip of sugar.
I thought he
Red
said
Bull.
he had sugar. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
You're
You'll be
gonna
fine.
learn to love
Stop being
it.
such a baby.
Yeah, Stetson, you got to man
Seriously.
up, bud.
Took my first sip of sugar-free Red Bull. I'm not sure I'm happy with it. Get your whining out of the way.
We don't
I have no
We
empathy
have
for that
all
right
the
now.
books to help you with
Yeah.
that whining today.
The first one is Suck It Up, Buttercup, and
It-
Stop Being a Little Baby.
That is the
Book.
name of the first book. It is written by Kadimah
And Casey.
Duncan and Casey Taylor.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of reading it right now.
Yeah, Suck It Up, Buttercup.
Never ends.
Book 1. Tighten it up.
Oh, yeah. Do
Do
the
the
tighten
tighten
up.
up.
Tighten it to the left. Tighten it to the right. Tighten up, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty young.
Yep. Tighten it up,
Man,
Stetson.
you gotta tighten that up, bud.
That's probably so butthurt.
He'll be fine.
He's not.
He'll be fine.
He's not. What up,
Even if he
Fancy?
is, he'll be fine.
Long time no see. Yeah,
For sure, bro.
for sure. So let's. Do we have anything else for the introduction? Can we jump into this?
Let's get all up in this real
All right.
good like.
Yeah. So the first book we read, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
First time? 2 years ago?
2019, yeah.
Biggest thing that I can say, first book is Be Obsessed or Be Average. It's by Grant Cardone, who is in the real estate industry.
And sales industry, too.
In sales, yes. High salesman. This book will literally light your hair on fire. Your head will explode with enthusiasm. For me, when we read this book, it was really the first validation that I got that I had ever received, that it was okay to chase my goals and my dreams with everything that I had. It was a huge motivator for me. And he has just a really cool background. He has a little bit of personal aspects of how he was raised and kind of his family situation. He basically came from nothing. His father passed away when he was young. His mom was raising him and several children. They were in a tight, tough spot as a child, and he just decided that he was not going to live like that anymore. And it's kind of takes you through this journey of his mindset and how much that impacted him in his success. And it really just, for me, it validated me chasing my dreams, stopping at nothing, embracing being obsessed with something. And I think that was pretty much like the moral of the story for me.
I think the other thing was that that it's not too late, you know, in that in order to stay, there's lots of things that he touches on, even being obsessed, and how he didn't if he wasn't obsessed in particular, it was one thing to be obsessed about what you think you want to accomplish, but how to be obsessed in your daily, weekly, monthly habits and actions in order to get these things to come to fruition. So very, very insightful book. And I would say that it's either going to motivate you to pursue what you want more, or realize that you really don't want it. You know, it's really no in between. Very exciting for that. And I think this book is not only a book that you can read once, it's a book you need to probably read once a year. Because at one point in time, you're the first time you read it, you're validated by what you're obsessed about. The second time you read it, you start to trim off things that may be keeping your obsession from being as powerful as it can be. You know, the third time that you read it, you're gonna remember a part, and it's gonna light your hair on fire again. You know, you're gonna remember certain aspects and things about it, and it's just gonna refuel you. Great book. And it was hard for me to choose the 5 books, because we talked about doing 5 today. And when she was asking me what books, I said, I'm just going to wing it, because there's so many books. You know, there's so many books that have touched me at different times. And if you catch me right now, I'm going to say these 2 books, because these are the books that I'm reading. So I don't know. There's a ton, but this is definitely one of them for sure.
Yeah, I have actually only read this book once, and it was quite a while ago. So it's probably time to go back. Emily, this would be a really good book for you to read.
Just to give it.
This is I probably need to go back and reread this and just get a little freshen up on it, because it has been a while. And I also have started in my reading of books is I take notes. So every chapter, and I just started doing this recently, I take bullet point notes on the things that I learned from that book. And I think the cool thing to think about there is, if you do go back and read it again, you may get something different, or you may get the same thing. You know, like you can kind of compare and say, oh, the first time I read this, this is what I was learning. It's kind of like when you go and read the Bible, you know, you like get something new based off of the season in life, or your understanding, or where you're at. Circumstances change, and so does the message that you're receiving. So this is a awesome book. It's an easy read. It is not complicated, and so you can breeze through it or listen to it quickly. It doesn't take a lot of processing. It's really just it's pretty easy, I would say, to understand.
Yeah. So I did the Audible version of this book, and I like it because he narrates the book, and so you get these little ad libs and pieces in it that are very, very funny.
Yeah.
And he tells you, like, the publishers wanted me to do this, but I ain't doing that. You know, and so it's really, really funny in his accent, in his way of speaking things, and just it's a very, very good book. I'll share one if I can next.
Sure.
Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, and this one was given to me by Stetson, my best friend. This was a good book, and it was about how in the direst circumstances we have the ability to choose. If you want to talk about a book that almost every single entrepreneur or person will talk about, it will be this book. Man's Search for Meaning. And it is an incredibly powerful book. Viktor Frankl was in the Holocaust, and he talked about losing his family and losing his wife and losing everything. And what kept him alive was the ability to choose. And he talks about this in depth. It is a hard book to read in terms of what you know he's going through and the choices and the things, and he chronicles all this information. But it puts you back in the driver's seat and lets you know that you're in control. Even when you think that you're not, even when you think that there is no hope, you still have this ability to choose. And let's see what says input. The last lecture for Randy Posh, Man's Search for Meaning. Yep. Works of Love.
Never even heard of that.
Soren Kierkegaard, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. Yep. And Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So 12 Rules for Life is in my books to read next. By Jordan Peterson. But yeah, so we both picked Man's Search for Meaning. It is that impactful of a book. Yeah, I encourage you to get that one. That one
Write
is
that
good.
down.
That one is real good. For you.
Yeah. So, well, I was actually handed this book down by you.
Yeah.
So, next book is The Four Agreements. And this book is also, I mean, you can see it's quick. It's little. I actually read this one and did not listen to it. But do we want to go over the Four Agreements?
Yeah, let's go over it a little bit.
Okay, so in a nutshell, basically, they are 4 rules to live by. And it's funny because this book does require a little bit of processing because you have to put things in practice in your life. And these things that you have to put into practice are a little bit difficult to put into practice. Like you're not just going to be
lifetime.
like, oh,
They're lifetime.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's constant, continuous work where you're having to constantly remind yourself and go, am I doing these things? Am I applying these principles? And kind of watching what the outcome is. But the first is being impeccable with your word. And, that is, speaking with integrity, saying what you mean, and avoiding speaking negatively against yourself, or gossiping or being a part of gossip about others, which is, I think the speaking negatively to yourself, not only what you say out loud, but what you're internally thinking is equally as strong as saying it. So that's huge. Just that first one, to speak kindly to yourself all the time and have only positive talk for yourself, is a lot of practice. It takes work, and it kind of depends on what kind of personality or person you are. If you're a more optimistic person, maybe a little bit easier. If you are a more like analytical, or negative, or whatever,
All the negative Nancy's out there.
all the negative Nancy's, and there is a lot. But being impeccable with your word. Do you have anything to add on to that point?
Jesus. Yep.
Sorry, my book just started.
Yeah, let's listen, guys.
I would say, really, without going too much, because we could really expand on this book. I don't want to go that far into it. But I do encourage people, I would say, being impeccable with your word is saying things you don't want to say too. And, it's saying statements that are truthful and that may be hurtful to someone. Not because you're trying to be malicious, but you're trying to be utmostly upright in that. And when you deny that, when you deny that impeccability in your word, you start to hurt yourself because of that. I thought this is very interesting because it helped me to think about that. Hey, look, you're a grown adult and your feelings are your feelings, but my job is to tell the truth. My job is to be impeccable. Look, I'm not, I concerned myself with too much of what this person's feelings were going to feel like if I said what was true and needed to be said. So I don't do it anymore. I just say it. And that's a hard practice to do. And sometimes it's going to be like, oh man, there's got to be a mood that he's in. No, just telling you like it is, because that's my job, is to tell it like it is. It's going to benefit you more. And I think it shows a person that you love them more by telling them that truth, regardless if it hurts their feelings. And that's a hard lesson to take home, but that's part of being impeccable.
Sure. And you don't have to do it in a mean way,
Yeah.
obviously. You do it from a place of kindness, love, and caring, which is, that's also a practice, especially when you're learning how to confront someone else. There's a gentle way to do it, and there's a aggressive way. I have to work on being less aggressive every day. It's a daily practice. Number 2 is from this book is don't take anything personally. Woo! That one is another one that we need to be reminded of all the time. I think it's common for a lot of people to take everything personally. And a lot of the times people are acting, you have to understand, like, each person, if you really think about it, has their own reality. And everybody's reality is different. So somebody might say something, and it's really just because it's coming from what their perspective is, right? Maybe they don't know the whole situation. Maybe that's just the way they see the world. There's going to be some differences, but not taking anything personally. And I don't know. It's definitely a practice.
For sure. Let's move on because I want to get through some of these other books. We're going to spend a lot of time on these, but that was your second book?
Yeah.
Okay, I would pick.
I guess you got to read the rest to figure it out.
Yeah, get on the reading. We're not your summaries.
I mean, we kind of are.
Atomic Habits would be the next book that I would pick in recent memory and recent history of books that I think have affected my actions and attitudes among things. Atomic Habits is really cool. It's by James Clear. James Clear started a blog when it was kind of popular to start blogs, and he had a nice newsletter kind of chronicling this. And what he recognized was the pattern of life, that everything that he was successful in was made by incremental steps. And so one of the things that he talked about is, and this is the best example I can use one of the books examples that he uses in the book. He said, if you want to be, let's say you're very, very overweight, like you need 100 pounds or plus to lose, right? Instead of going to the gym and thinking that you need to spend an hour and a half or 2 hours a day, he said you just need to do what healthy people do or what fit people do. Well, what do fit people do? They go to the gym. So the first step he would have someone do is literally get dressed, put on their tennis shoes, do all their stuff, and go to the gym and stay there only 5 minutes. Stay there only 5 minutes. And so you get started and you're like, that's all I'm going to do today? Yeah, 5 minutes, leave, do it again. There's one day, if you haven't been working out, there's probably a day that you don't even want to do that. You don't even want to get up and go through that motion. And so by the time you've established that habit, he wouldn't allow them to do anything outside of that for 30 days. And he said, okay, you can stay there for 10 minutes. And so they would be so excited to stay there for 10 minutes. You do 10 minutes and you would kind of gradually take these steps. Well, that's what healthy people do. Well, healthy people drink water. And every single thing that we want in life is through incremental steps. We think that, they call them, the other example I would say is overnight success, right? It does not exist, right? And to people that are unknown, don't see the process behind the process or how much work it's taken to get to this point or to this thing. And so this is why I like this book, because it reminds me that every step of success or every step of dreaming or every step of goal or whatever the envision I have has started with a minimal baby step, right? With our time, which we all have the same amount, I have segmented how I'm going to read more books by 15-minute increments. I spend 15 minutes listening to this book. I have a little time. I'll spend 15 minutes listening to that book. And by the time you know it, at the end of the month, I've completed those 2 books or the goals that I had for those 2 books. Sometimes other months give me more time, or you get an extra gap of time where you finish another book.
Yeah.
Either way, that's how I've attacked reading that many books in that time in order to continue to grow and change and learn, and etc.
Yeah. So something for me, because he's a very auditory learner and I'm a very visual learner. So I love the simplicity or the ability to be able to listen while I'm doing something else. But The system that I've kind of taken in place is I just keep a notebook nearby, or write notes on my phone, so that whenever I hear something important, I'll just go jot that down. And that helps me be able to have a visual to go look back at those key points again and look over them. Because that's how I memorize, that's how I learn. And so that's really beneficial if you are a visual learner, to just kind of start a process like that where you're, have a notes section in your phone for each book, or however you want to do that. My last book that I'm going to share about is, it is hard to process. And I'll start by saying that this book literally changed my being. It changed my life. It changed the way that I deal with every single moment. And this is one that you're going to have to read multiple times. You're going to want to go back, but it's also a slow read, because there's so much new information to process, and it's very, very deep. You're going to have to read a chapter and then marinate on it for a little while. You're not going to blow through this book. So just keep that in mind. But it's called The Power of Now. And it is basically I don't know if y'all could see that. Power of Now, it's by Eckhart Tolle. And it is basically a spiritual awakening, enlightenment. It is a guidebook to being present and not living in the past or in the present. And it's not religious based. He does talk about Jesus, and acknowledges Jesus was here on earth, but it's not a Christian based book. So if you only read Christian based books, this may or may not be in line with what you read. So but it is really it's really interesting to be conscious and aware and present. And you're basically making a separation between your mind, which is your computer that is here to help you, versus your spirit, your heart, your soul, between those two things. And it helps you be able to step back and be able to be aware of the two that are inside of you, and use them to your ability. And it's really just changed my life. It really has. I've shared this book with several people because it impacted me so much. So it's life is a series of present moments, and we are not present for a lot of them. So this book will teach you how to be present. Again, a lot of things that I have never heard in this book. So highly recommend it. Read it slow, process it, put it into practice. It's a good book.
Man, there's so many. I'm trying to narrow it down, but having an issue. I mean, just in the last 6 months, Max Out Your Life by Ed Mylett is a great one. Ed Mylett's a billionaire. He has a very, very popular podcast that I would encourage people to listen to. He interviews everyone. Iron Cowboy. And if you don't know who the Iron Cowboy is, he's famous for doing two completely different feats that are incredible, that I don't think will ever be duplicated, which was 50 Ironmans in a row, in different states. He did an Ironman in every single state, each day. I think or not each day, but then the next feat that he did was 100 Ironmans in a row, every day. A complete full Ironman every single day for 100 days straight. So if you can imagine, and just to give you some preface to that, an Ironman is 2.4 mile swim. It is a 112-mile bike and a full marathon, 26.2 mile run. He did that every single day for 100 days. And so he interviews people like this, or David Goggins. So Can't Hurt Me is a great book to read as well, for just different perspective. The Way of the Superior Man, Humility by C.J. Mahaney, Gosh darn it, there's just too many. A classic one, The Richest Man in Babylon, just about principles in terms of finances and how you handle those things. How to Own Your Own Mind by Napoleon Hill. The Compound Effect, which is very similar to Atomic Habits. It's another book talking about taking minute steps and how they can make big results. Gosh darn it. All those books, okay? I'm just going to start putting them out again because there's just too many of them. There's just too many of them. But
If y'all would have had me on the show, I would have given y'all the spotlight.
I would give you one more book that I thought was very, very interesting, is Why We Sleep. And this is probably the most in-depth that I've ever gotten on sleep. As I've been going through this journey of bodybuilding, as it gets closer and closer to competition, it becomes very much harder for me to sleep. So I was looking for some sort of way to figure out how I can hack sleep in order to get better sleep, because I know that when I sleep longer, I get more recovery, which means I lose a little bit more body fat, and et cetera, et cetera. And so this is a very fascinating book. I will tell you, it is definitely long-winded. He does give you the answers on how to maximize human sleep, but everything he touches on how babies need REM sleep and why it's the most important, and how alcohol affects that if you're pregnant and you're drinking, and what happens, and how some baby illnesses that they could be affected with for life are because of alcoholic drinking, even if the doctor says it's okay. So these are things that I was like, wow, this is very eye-opening. But yeah, I try to read books in every category, especially health, wellness, etc. There's too many to list. Too many. But if you're looking for something that's going to help you to get going and really change your life, if you're looking for direction, we're coming towards the end of the year. This is always a good time for me. Like, we're at the last quarter, and we're all hustling really hard. We have a lot of things that we want to do by the end of the year.
That's right.
And then by the end of the year, I'm going to be looking towards, I'm already thinking about next year. Like, what is next, And so it makes me push harder to get to that point so I can identify what is next, and utilize what we've learned this year to make 2022 even better.
2022 gonna be fire. There is all kinds of goodness happening, and we will have a show just explaining, like giving you guys some updates on what's been going on behind the scenes here, but it's all really awesome and exciting, and it just is.
It's really hard to hold back.
It's real good. So I think that's it for our show today. Remember, you can follow us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for spending some time with us today. I hope you can add some books to your reading list. And if you've got anything that you think we should read, please drop it in the comments section. Obviously, we are avid learners and lovers of learning. So please share with us as well. If you've got anything that's changed your life, we want in on it. All right?
Yes, for sure.
Thank you again for watching. I am one of your hosts, Casey.
I'm Kadimah.
And y'all have a great weekend.
See ya.
Peace.
Happy October.
Oh.
We're on the air still. Gosh, you're so barbaric.
Last week, I was talking about pee.
Barbaric. That's a great word.
Last week, I was talking about me having to pee on the show and then poop. And then I just burped people for
Just
sure.
let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
What?
It's wild.
What?
Hey, we hope you guys have an awesome day. And the end of our show will always be about Emily peeing or pooping herself.
Or burping herself.